to the Smart Property Investment Show with your host, Phil Tarrant. This podcast is brought to you by Defence Housing Australia. Invest in a Defence Housing Australia property and they'll pay your rent, manage your tenants, and even take care of day-to-day maintenance. Rental income is guaranteed for up to 12 years. Your rent is reviewed annually to market value and will never fall below the starting rent. So all you have to do is sit back today and look forward to tomorrow. To find out more, call 133 DHA. That's 133 342. Or visit dha.gov.au/look forward.
Welcome to the show. Thanks for tuning in. Phil Tarrant here, recording live from the Momentum Podcast Studios. I'm joined by my regular co-host, Vivian Kelly, who looks after editorial across our mortgages and real estate products here. Viv, thanks for coming along.
Thanks, Phil. Good to be back.
I'll introduce our guests in a second. Just to give some context to our listeners, we're recording this shortly after it would appear that our sitting Prime Minister, Mr Turnbull, has got enough seats to stay in power. So the official announcement's not yet come through, but it looks like we're going to retain a Liberal government here in Australia. And that means a couple of things for property investors. Number one, a big thing, negative gearing is probably safe for everyone. Viv, is that what we're hearing from everyone?
For now, Phil, but it is the issue that never goes away. And with such a tight parliament this time around, such a small majority, it would seem, I'd say that it's still going to be in the news and we're still going to be talking about this in the weeks, months and probably even years to come. But Turnbull has flagged that he doesn't want to get rid of it or grandfather it in any way. So for now, I think investors who are in that situation can relax a little bit.
So you're on the front line, you're speaking with both people within property markets, mortgage markets, but also investors themselves. What are you hearing from, I guess, the industry? Are they bullish about where we're heading as a country in terms of, the Liberal government being re-elected, or is there a certain sense of uncertainty?
I think it's pretty mixed out there. By and large, people are happy that we do have a firm result and aren't facing a sort of minority government. But there is a lot of uncertainty with sort of the mix that we've ended up with in the Senate. Things might not be as easy to get through as people were perhaps hoping. There's a bit of uncertainty about Australia's credit rating, with the ratings agencies recently downgrading our outlook, which gives us a 1 in 3 chance of moving from AAA to AA, which will change how much it costs governments to borrow money. So people aren't sure, but as always with property investors, they're just keeping calm and carrying on anyway.
Well, that's really interesting. I guess, interest rates are staying stable for the period ahead. Money's still cheap to borrow.
Yes, definitely.
Which is good for investors. And I guess we use that as a bit of a segue into our guest, Andrew Third. Andrew, mate, thanks for coming along.
Morning, Phil.
What do you reckon about all this negative gearing stuff from a guy who is just an average, and I use that as a nice term, but just an average investor? This whole election rigmarole that we've just gone through, how have you framed that towards yourself as a property investor? Has that been something that you've been worried about? Did you vote on the basis that negative gearing was a potential threat, or did you just say, I'm not going to care about that, I'll just go ahead and vote because I have particular allegiances to certain political parties?
Yeah, I guess it swayed my vote a little, having investment properties. So
you don't have to say you voted Liberal. But I think it's pretty. I stood in an election line and chatting with blokes, and I think a lot of people went into the election not really understanding. There's a lot of noise around it all, and property investors that I spoke to, it was a big thing for them. So it looks like we're safe for a little while. They're not going to take that away. But Andrew, can you tell us a little bit about your portfolio? How big is it? How long have you been building it? And how many sort of properties within the portfolio?
We got a principal place of residency in Hornsby Heights. We bought that in 2006, December 2006. And investing at the time, it was not real in our minds. It was more just wanted to settle down and buy a house. And then it was probably over time, pumped a lot of money into the house.
Well, pumped in as in paid down your mortgage, or pumped in and did stuff to it?
No, just did stuff to the house.
Stuff. Yeah.
So I'd get a bonus from work. It would go and fix the fence. We didn't really save much. It was pretty much everything just went into the house. A little while went on, and we, I suppose, wanted to sort of got more reading into investment properties and how it can create wealth, I suppose. And then it wasn't until 2013 that we went down the path and get our first investment property.
So in 2013, so you had your principal place of residence for 6 years?
Yep.
And you just fixed the fence and did stuff. Did you make it nicer?
Yeah, we've renovated inside, new kitchen and bathroom and stuff like that. So
And what was the purpose of that? It's just for greater livability and stuff?
Yeah, it was just for us to live in. Wanted to start a family, make the house a bit nicer. When we went to purchase the house, it was like interest rates got up to 8% back then. So
You didn't fix, did you? Did you get variable?
we actually did both. We did
Okay.
a variable
Split,
and
yep.
a fixed. Did a split. Just felt a bit more comfortable with that. I think it was about 6% when it started, but then it started going up. So we had one that was fixed at 6, and then one that started creeping up. So we're kind of just a bit balanced. And it's come way back down.
So 2006 Hornsby Heights, before we get on to investment properties,
Yep.
looking at your PPR, Principal Place of Residence, PPR, sorry, you've probably done pretty well up there. Property's gone up. I got a place in Mount Ku-ring-gai, which is just not too far from there, I guess, and that thing's rocketed in value. You must have done pretty well in Hornsby Heights.
Well, we've nearly been there 10 years. So pretty much has doubled in the 10 years. I know a lot of people say that, probably does double in 10 years. I guess we've seen that happen.
Andrew, you mentioned that you struggled to save a bit because any time you got money, you were pouring it back into your principal place of residence. So how then did you save up your deposit for your first investment property in 2013?
So I guess over that period of time, jobs had moved on, wages increased, and so we just took out equity out of our home and borrowed against that to buy the first investment property.
Did someone recommend that that's the way you should finance an investment property, or is that from your readings or your own education? I know you listen to the show and stuff, so you're obviously an active person who invests in your own education, but did you hear about you could do that, as in you could refinance your home, take some cash out and use that to finance an investment property, or did you have some advice from an accountant or someone?
Yeah, I guess there was a period of time there where we'd just been doing a lot of reading, and it's like, okay, we want to get an investment property, but we just don't know how. Didn't have any family members that were really investing, didn't know where to start. And it wasn't until I was at work and a work colleague mentioned it was something that was working for him, and we went and saw the same people, and then they put us on the path to
property investing.
Yeah.
So you say the same people, was that a buyer's agent, or was that an accountant or some sort of other?
Yeah, they were strategists. They were selling properties, but there was a few options to go for. I guess you don't have to go with it if you don't want to. They put it out on the table, and this is what you can do, and I suppose paying your mortgage down and stuff like that. So once the properties were put out, we went and had a look and thought, okay,
that's all right.
The first one was in Newcastle.
So let's talk about your first property. Was it off the plan, or was it established dwelling? How much did it cost? What sort of yield did
So
you
it was
get
a
on?
house and land package.
Okay.
So it was $450,000, 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car. It's in a suburb called Fletcher.
And what sort of yield did you get? So did people move straight in once it was built?
So we had a tenant lined up. They started advertising just before it was finished being built. Yeah, they moved in as soon as we were ready to move in. They even wanted to move in before it was all finished, and they wanted to go and water the gardens and start on it. So, and we've had the same tenant there for the past 3 years.
So when the people first moved in, what sort of rent were you getting initially?
So we're getting $500 a week
Okay.
rent, and that hasn't moved in the past 3 years. We've been keeping an eye on the properties. They've been going up 510, 520. But the 500 seems to be the mark still at the moment.
So have you locked those tenants into a longer term lease, or have they just continued to want to stay there? Because I have heard from investors lately that in markets like Newcastle and the Hunter region, they want to try and lock people in for longer because those rents aren't going up anyway. But they're struggling to find tenants who want to be there for the long term, but you seem to have found one.
They actually don't want to sign a new lease. So they just want to keep... We've just asked putting on a new lease, and they just want to keep paying monthly, pound time and everything. I mean, they've got a dog, so I think accepting pets is kind of a good thing. Sometimes it keeps people. Not everyone accepts pets.
So retrospectively, looking back at this investment, $415K, $500 a week, sounds pretty good. What's the valuation, do you think, of that property now compared to what it was in 2013? So you've had it for about 3 years. Has it moved much from 450?
Well, it was 12 months later that we had it valued at 520. So we got instant equity there. And at that time, we'll say, let's pull out that equity to buy the second property.
Okay, so let's chat about the second property. So what was next for you?
I guess you hear those things of there's been a lot of investors, they buy their first one and that's where they stop. And I guess I want to be pretty active and let's see where we can take this. We looked at Queensland on the Sunshine Coast, and just started from there. Started looking.
And what did you end up picking up? What was the property?
So we got a townhouse there, and it's off the plan. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car in Budrum. Budrum, Sunshine Coast.
And when did you purchase this?
We're just going through the process at the moment. It's probably been ongoing for the past 12 to 18 months, the whole process.
Okay, so for the whole build and stuff, yeah.
For the whole build, yeah. And we're actually getting a handover inspection done today.
Oh, that's cool. And you got a tenant lined up?
And there's a tenant lined up on the 18th of July to go in.
That's pretty good. What are you going to get him in at? What sort of rent?
So the purchase there was $385,000, and they've accepted rent at $420 a week.
How did you find the off the plan buying process, Andrew? I know a lot of investors sort of find it a bit stressful and can't always envisage what the property is actually going to look like at the end, but you've obviously bought 2 properties before they've been built. So how have you found that?
Yeah, I guess it's all an unknown. Again, it was just kind of let's try it, see what happens. I've got to do something to see how it works and get in amongst it. So I just gave it a go, gave it a shot.
So what's the game plan from here? Are you going to stop at 2? Or are you going to keep going?
We'd love to keep going. We've had the birth of our second child.
Oh,
so
good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Whilst on maternity leave now, obviously we've hit a serviceability issue.
Yeah. Are you actually on paternity leave? Did you take leave? Did you?
No,
Yeah.
so I'm on long service leave from work.
Nice.
I've had 2 months off to help out, which has been
Brilliant.
great. It's been good. So I've been able to look at the portfolio and I guess reach out to other people and talk to people and come in here and give you guys some feedback.
Do you have you got an idea about what that next purchase is going to be, or are you completely open to it all? Or how are you sort of educating yourself or getting the options available to you so you can make a decision on what you're going to do?
Just a lot of reading, researching, talking to people. I guess my wife watches all those home shows 24/7. She's always showing me properties to buy and renovate and stuff. So, maybe we'd like to try and renovate a property down the track, just give it a go. But I guess we'll just get through the maternity leave and servicing issues and I'll just focus on the portfolio and paying down some non-deductible debt at the moment and give it 12 months and hit it again, see what we get.
See what happens. That's really good.
And Andrew, what was your motivation for investing in property? Is it to build up wealth for this young family that you have, or was it just something you were interested in giving a go? What sort of got you started?
I guess it's a bit of everything there. Yeah, we want to start a family and it's going to be hard for our kids to purchase a property down the track when they grow up. So I guess it's a bit of a legacy there to be able to hand something over to them. We're in it for the long term. So these properties like to buy and hold them. Who knows, the Sunshine Coast one would be nice to have a little holiday destination to go to. Holiday rental.
It's a nice part of the world. With the financing of these, have you mortgaged them all through the same bank, or have you sort of mixed up the lenders that you have?
So I've refinanced a couple of times. At the moment, we're with the same bank for Fletcher and Hornsby Heights.
Okay.
But we've gone with another bank for the Queensland property.
And did you go direct or did you use a mortgage broker?
Using a mortgage broker.
Okay. And how did you find your broker? Was it a recommendation from someone else, or you just picked up Googled them? I was going to say the Yellow Pages, but I don't think anyone uses that anymore.
It's a bit old.
Well, they were part of the investment strategy
Okay.
people that we went to see. So they had a broking arm on that, and that's where we went through those guys. And
the stuff that the properties that you have, the Fletcher property, the one up in Sunshine Coast, do you use an agent to manage them, or do you try and do that yourself?
I'm not going to be using an agent.
An agent?
Yeah, an agent to use them.
And have you found, have you had any sort of particular frustrations with the agent? They've done a pretty good job.
I mean, they've done a pretty good job. They're new properties, so hopefully nothing goes wrong. Nothing's gone wrong yet, anything major. Have had some storms go through Newcastle and the property's fared fairly well. But so I guess until issues arise.
See what happens. See how good they are. Oh, that's interesting, Andrew. Thanks for that, mate. We're just going to take a quick break, have a quick chat to our podcast partner. G'day, Elvio, mate. Thanks for joining us back in the studio. It's good to have you here. Mate, I want to pick up our conversation that we had a little bit earlier on around DHA properties. So you head up the property investment program over there, and DHA has been doing some great work in Australia for a couple of decades now, from what I understand. Mate, can you just tell me a little bit about what your clients say about owning a DHA property? What sort of feedback do you get from them about the benefits of that?
Certainly the worry-free investment and minimising the risks associated with property investment. And that's really achieved through our guaranteed rent that we provide our investors. There's no vacancy risk. We pay the rent at all times, irrespective of whether the property is occupied or not. We've also got our property care program, which covers the day-to-day maintenance of the properties and the cost associated with that. And we do all of the tenancy management associated with it. In addition to that, investors are quite pleased that we offer a diversified portfolio where they can geographically diversify their portfolio with properties across Australia in all major capital cities and also in major regional areas. And our long-term lease also enables people to hold a property through the property cycle so that they can obtain the benefits, and understanding that property is really a long-term investment.
So if I own a DHA property, is there always a defence personnel in there, or is it other people as well? Is it always defence?
In most cases, it's a defence member. It is subject to sort of defence requirements in particular locations, and that can vary. So sometimes there have been instances where we do have civilian tenancies as well, but at all times DHA manages that processes and manages the tenancy.
I imagine that a lot of your investors like the thought of supporting defence personnel by having them providing accommodation for them. Is that one of those points which resonates with a lot of your investors, as well as the investment case itself?
Yes, it does. That's something that we do see coming out from our investors in terms of that sort of ability also to sort of support our defence members and their families through this investment as well.
That's really good. Property investments, it's a lot of ways, it's an unemotional strategy. You know, you need to look at the investment, you need to look at how it returns, you need to look at long-term growth, etc. One of the costs of holding an investment property is the management of that property. Myself, I use property managers for all of our properties, and I pay a fee for that, and I find it saves me a lot of time and heartache that I know someone else is looking after the property for me. So DHA does very similar, but your management expands just beyond collecting the rent and sometimes fixing up a leaking tap or washer. Is that right?
That's correct. Our management fee is 16.5% for houses and 13% for apartments, and it's real value in terms of what we provide. With that fee, all inclusive, we cover the tenancy management, so any new tenants, there's no cost associated with a new tenant in a property. We cover all the repairs and maintenance in terms of day-to-day maintenance, and in addition to that, at the end of the lease term, we spruce up the property essentially, and what we do there is we'll replace the floor coverings, paint inside and out, make sure everything is in working order as well.
So you pretty much get a reno at the end of every tenancy, is that right?
Yes. What we do is at the end of the lease term we hand back the property to the investor, and they have the option of either occupying the property if they choose, or to take over the management of that property.
I imagine a lot of people would say I can get a property manager to look after my property for 7 or 8% management fee. You guys are sort of 16.5, say, for a house, which is a little bit different. Do people get stuck on that, or have you done any work around the actual real cost of owning an investment property and how those sort of different numbers might influence why people would buy a DHA property or not buy a DHA property?
Yes, we've conducted independent research through BIS Shrapnel, where they've compared the DHA management fee to a traditional real estate agency agreement. And the findings there is a saving of over 15% in regards to the DHA fee relative to that. Some of the components and the value that it's provided through the fee, obviously the components of the vacancy, there's no vacancy risk, repairs and maintenance, most day-to-day repairs and maintenance paid by DHA. At the end of the lease, we also have a restoration of the property where we paint inside and out, recarpet, and return the property to the investor in good order.
I imagine it gives people a lot of confidence around cash flow as well, knowing that it's a fixed cost and that's what it's going to be all the time. LVO, mate, we could chat about this all day. For all our listeners, how do they find out more about DHA? Is there a website they can go to, or is there any seminars that you guys do that they can check out?
Certainly. Investors can go to our website where they can register their details at dha.gov.au. And also at our website there are details of seminars that we hold where we provide detail and the opportunity for investors to have a face-to-face opportunity to ask questions and obtain more information about DHA and its products.
Excellent. So jump online and from there they can speak to people and find out all the information they need to know.
Yeah, once they've registered, one of our sales team will actually make contact with them to understand their preferences and to take them through our sales process.
Okay, excellent. LVO, thanks for joining us, mate. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Phil.
What's been the worst thing that's happened to you in terms of your property portfolio? What's the big thing where it's just gone, oh, this is bad? Is there anything in particular?
No. Sometimes I suppose you have those conversations with your wife, like how can we afford this, and I don't know, how can we progress with the kids and everything like that. But I guess we're still young. We're both 33, so we've got plenty of life ahead of us to.
So you're comfortable with your debt position? Like when you look at your mortgage statements and you see you own, I would imagine, over $1 million in mortgages. Does that Does it scare you, or you're quite comfortable with it because you know that there's money coming in, you can pay it down, you don't live too extravagantly? How do you sort of deal with that?
Yeah, I guess at first, it's a large amount, especially with a young family. It's a large amount to think about. But then, in the grand scheme of things, you hope that your investment purchases have been the right ones, or that they've been good ones. So if anything does happen, you can sell them down and pay that debt.
So I'll put you on the spot. If you're going to give our listeners, and a lot of people listen to the Smart Property Investment Show, which is good, but what would be your one tip for a guy who has done what you've done? So you bought a principal place of residence and 2 investment properties. What's one thing that you would like to communicate with our readers about your experience and how you might be able to empower them to be better property investors? What would be your one gem of information?
Give it a go.
Just give it a go.
Just give it a go.
It's good because so many people get stuck sort of procrastinating, and we see them all the time, Viv. People that read everything that we produce and love coming to chat with us, and then they've never bought.
Yeah, that they've been reading us for 10 years and listening to every show and writing with a question every week, but every week they sort of still haven't done anything. It's a bit like information overload, I guess. You can get a bit paralysed, but you've got to start somewhere. You're never going to know everything. So as Andrew said, you've just got to give it a go.
Yeah, and you're happy with where you've bought, like in terms of the demographics, the investment fundamentals, the property's going up in value, which is a good thing. But you're comfortable with those decisions, or you think you could have made better decisions in terms of locations?
Yeah, I guess knowing what I know now, having started a few years ago and doing a lot more reading and research, I probably could have done better. But I don't regret it. We're in it now. So let's see where it takes us.
Well, they sound right. It looks like you get some good yields on it, and I imagine you haven't had many periods when your property, the Fletcher one, has been vacant. So you can pay your mortgage, which is handy.
Yes,
it's pretty good. We're gonna have to wrap it up, Viv.
Sounds good.
Andrew, thanks, mate.
Oh, thanks
Appreciate
for having
you coming along.
It's been great.
It's really good. These things fly through so quickly. But Andrew mentioned that he listens to the podcast just off air when he's walking his dog. So hopefully we've timed it enough for. You probably do a regular circuit.
I did a morning walk this morning. And
what's the perfect timing for a podcast for you? Is about 20 odd minutes, is it, for a dog walk? But everyone, thanks for tuning in. Once again, keep those reviews coming on iTunes. We're tracking very well, which always makes me really happy. It's good to know that what we're producing, Viv, is resonating with our listeners. So we'll keep doing what we're doing. But if you'd like us to be doing something else or something more, let us know. You can contact us, editor@smartpropertyinvestment.com.au. We're also across all of the social media channels. If you just search Smart Property Investment. You can follow me personally if you like on Twitter @PhilipTarrant. Go to the website. There's some new stuff coming there. So I highly recommend that you go and have a peek around.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff. It's gonna be good.
It's really, really cool. So smartpropertyinvestment.com.au. Tune in again next week. We'll see you then. Thanks, guys. Bye.